What's up, Holloway gang? Welcome back to another episode of the Let Me Holler at You podcast, where we talk about real love, real life, and real stories. Of course, I'm your boy Trey, and this is my gorgeous host,
Katya.
And together we form the Holloways.
Welcome to our podcast, Let Me Holla at You. If you are new here, thank you for joining us. And if you are a returner, thank you so much for returning welcome back.
Welcome back.
We are excited to have you, and today we're just going to go ahead and jump right into our episode. We are talking all things love languages. So, get ready. Get buckled up. Let's go.
And let me holler at you.
Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. We are ready to jump on into this episode. And as per usual, we are going to start off with our reactions to someone's story. This week, we actually have two stories because I am so sorry to one of our listeners. I accidentally left one of the stories out from last week. It got stuck in the archives. I apologize. But for that reason, we now have a special treat, and you're getting two stories to start off the episode for us to react to.
See, we always give it back to you. You know what I'm saying? We always gonna give it back to you.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure we got it done. Got it in there. So we got two for you guys. Both of them are actually from listeners. So these are not Reddit stories yet this time. These are all listeners.
Shout out, before we get into, I'm sorry, I didn't pick up, I know he's about to get into, but shout out to y'all, man. That just shows growth. Every week you guys you're interacting with us, and we appreciate that. Continue to do that. Feel comfortable to do that. We'll keep you anonymous, and we will keep it PG, keep it friendly for you. So please keep sending them in. We love to talk about them.
Thank you guys for sending them in. We love it. And hopefully you guys like our reactions and what we have to say about it. But let's go ahead and jump right on in. So this one is actually from someone who is no longer in high school, but this story was from when they were in high school dating. Okay. And it says, when I was a sophomore in high school, I went on a date with this kid I was talking to. We went to a local Chili's. At this time, I was 16 and he was still 15. So his dad had to drop him off. Already off to a rough start.
In there.
Then we go to sit inside the restaurant, and his grandparents are sitting inside. His grandparents, I'm going to repeat that, are sitting inside. Whatever, we continue. Whatever. We continue with the date. It was awkward, but it went fine. We finished eating and paid and whatnot, and his dad wasn't there to pick him up yet. So we went to go sit in my car until his dad got there. I was not feeling it, and I knew he was going to try and kiss me. So we waited in the car awkwardly, and I rolled down the windows and turned up the music and avoided all eye contact so he would not kiss me in my car. Outside of the Chili's, that his grandparents were literally eating inside, and while waiting for his dad to pull up. She's like, she could not kiss him. She says, imagine how awkward it would have been if he was making out with me in my car and his dad pulled up. Needless to say, there was no second date.
Oh, man, poor guy.
Poor guy, yeah. I'm like, I feel like high school dating can be just so awkward, honestly, because everyone's at kind of like different stages. Like, some people have gone on dates before, others haven't. Obviously, in this case, like, you can't even drive yet, or one of you can and the other can't. Like, I feel like to actually go on an adult date, first of all, kudos to you guys for, like, just going to a restaurant on a date in high school.
Right.
Like, most dates in high school, I feel like they were like, are you going to go to homecoming with me? Let's go get ice cream. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was very basic stuff. Or come see me at my game. Like,
will you be my girlfriend? Yes. Will you be my boyfriend? Yes. And
yeah.
Just automatically.
After literally like a week. Yeah, there's no dating, like, actual dates happening. So, first of all, kudos to you guys for literally in high school going on an actual, like, date to a restaurant. Just pointing that out. But at the same time, and this is what I tell all my students all the time, I'm like, guys, I'm not saying don't take it seriously, but don't necessarily take high school dating so seriously. Like, take it to learn from, but it's not the end of the world, because you're going to grow up, and when you become an adult, you're going to do things so much differently than you did when you were in high school. Like, high school is not when you're an adult. You're learning in high school. You don't become an adult till after you leave, and even after you leave, you have a lot of learning to do. Like, you know what I mean? So, anyway, besides that, though, That poor kid.
Right. I just kind of feel like maybe a second date wouldn't have hurt. Give him a second chance. Maybe in a more neutral
But
environment.
if she's not feeling him, she's not feeling him.
Meet
So.
me at the park.
Because
Let's walk around the track. That way
Yeah.
you can just be the two of you. You know, if the parents
come to my game.
come to my game. You know, like something. You know, maybe not go to a restaurant this time. Maybe we can just come over to the house and watch a movie and then get to know each other.
Yeah.
Or I can pick you up in my car as a girl around. Because you know, girls are. If I had friends or we really liked each other and I didn't have the means to do things, I mean, I had girls that would come and pick me up. You know, we'd hang out and we schedule plans. And then when I got in a position where I was able to move for real, then I would turn the favor. So again, I do get that you were young, but I was like,
you could have given him a second date.
Anybody else out there that's young, you know what I'm saying, that it's a teenager, maybe give him a second shot. Try to level with the man. You know, it's levels to everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was fun. Love little high school love. Okay. Now we have again our second story as promised. This one is now the next level in college. So this one says, so me and this boy had a mutual friend and met at a formal. He wanted to hang out, so I had the bright idea to go sing karaoke with him and a group of friends.
Love her.
Right. Furthermore, I mentioned that there shouldn't be any alcohol involved, but he didn't listen. So she had already set a boundary for whatever reason, no alcohol was to be involved. Whether it was just she's not a drinker, maybe they were underage because you're not halfway through college until you're 21, you know what I'm saying, or on your way out. So whatever number of reasons, she did set a boundary that there shouldn't be any alcohol involved.
Very true.
And he did not listen. We got to the karaoke place and he started drinking. I texted my friend sitting beside me and was like, this was a bad idea. Needless to say, the guy threw up everywhere, all over the table, and even some got on my friend.
Oh.
Oh no.
You're out.
Oh no.
That's a straight strike 3.
It's nasty.
No ball, you're out of there, buddy. You did not put up a fight at that at all. You're out.
Yeah. She said, me and my friend went and hung out in the bathroom until they left, but when we came out, we also got kicked out because of his actions. Dang, so they got kicked out because of him too?
This man got a drunken disorderly on the first day?
Literally. Needless to say, he got blocked that night and I haven't heard from him since, thank the Lord.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, there's so much wrong with this.
There's a lot of layers to that one. We can peel it back.
I feel like she did say met at a formal, and usually when you're saying met at a formal, you're talking about like a sorority or fraternity, like a formal, like that kind of formal. So I'm assuming obviously he's like, and from the sounds of it, he's like typical frat guy. Like, you know, she said no, you know, made a boundary, which he should have listened to first and foremost. But then he comes and not only drinks, but literally got obviously like belligerently drunk if he's throwing up everywhere. Like, if you can't control your own sickness, bro, that's a problem. And you're supposed to be on a date. Can we talk? You're supposed to be on a date. This isn't like some party. You're literally were asked to go on a double date to karaoke.
Blackout drunk or inebriated on a date on your first date.
That's insane.
Not to mention to step up to the plate and actually ask her on the date and then to kind of self-sabotage it in that way. Because, okay.
Not to be mean to frat guys, but let's be real. No, that's all I gotta say is really not to be mean to y'all, but like, you do have a rep, and you literally just proved it, like, with this story.
No judgment. Shout out to the frat guys out there.
Yeah, not judging. I'm not saying all frat guys are like this, but really, bro.
Brothers, you know.
Really, bro.
Now, I have a couple layers here to peel back. First and foremost, I definitely do understand setting boundaries, and I want to commend that young lady. Because, I mean, being in college, I don't know if it was like a first year or second year, how old or how long she had been in college. But to be able to be mature enough to set that boundary, that is
for whatever reason there was a boundary set.
My biggest points to make is just, again, heed the red flags, heed the signs, and you did that. I mean, you automatically choose your best friend. Like, I don't think this is well.
Kudos to hiding in the bathroom. It probably smelled. Great job though. Toughed it out.
I would say, since we got this story a little late, it was supposed to be on last week's episode. Definitely check out last week's episode because there's some escape tactics that you and your friend could have used. Well, got you right on up out of there before the puking happened. And
one of y'all, one of y'all could have fallen down the stairs. Sorry. If you know, you know. If not, go back to last week's episode.
Yep.
I will say thank you guys so much for sending in those stories. And if you, one of our current listeners, wants to be the next story featured on our episode for us to either react to it, give advice on something, whatever it is that you want, go ahead and send in your story. We'd love to hear it, and maybe you'll be on next week's episode.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, beautiful family. Now let's keep the snowball rolling until it turns into an avalanche. So on this next segment, we are talking about love languages. And before we get into it too much, let's educate the people, baby. What are love languages?
So love languages are basically just the different ways people express or receive love. So in that way, it's kind of like another form of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it can obviously be verbal. Sometimes it's not verbal. So there are 5 different love languages. The first one we have is words of affirmation. So that's basically expressing love through spoken or written words, compliments, encouragement, kind words, that kind of thing. Telling, for example, I appreciate you for everything you're doing or whatever.
I appreciate you too.
Leaving a sweet note, that kind of thing. The second one is acts of service, which is showing love through actions rather than words. Usually it's doing something to ease your partner's burden. So for example, it could be like if they're tired and usually they take out the trash, or usually they're doing the dishes or putting in the laundry. Instead, you do the dishes one night, or you do the laundry, or you can cook them a meal.
Stop, because let me take care of this burden for you and continue explaining what this point is.
You don't have to, it's fine.
Yeah, I completely forgot which one you was on. Real quick in my brain. So
I'll keep it going. I'll keep it going. I appreciate it, babe. Appreciate it. But this can also doesn't have to be like a chore. Like it could also be like running an errand or something for them, or just showing them in some way that like you care, that you're easing some sort of kind of easing something for them. You know what I mean? Trying to make their life better or easier.
Deserve just so much more. Anything you want, baby, let me cater to you.
Love it. Anyway, that's our new theme song.
Destiny's Child.
Shout out. So then the third one is receiving gifts. And I think if you're also like expressing love, this would be gift giving. But receiving gifts in general could be a love language. So just showing love through like thoughtful, thorough gifts, not just like, it's not like about materialism. It's about the effort and meaning behind the gift itself, like the thought that was put into it. And that could even be as simple as bringing home like your favorite snack, you know what I'm saying, like a surprise. Like even earlier today, actually, we were driving and we stopped at the gas station and you brought me out my favorite candy bar. So shout out Three Musketeers, sponsor. No, I'm fine. But yeah,
no chocolate sponsors. We gonna be fat.
We would be so fat. Anyway. But yeah, so like that was actually a great example of like receiving a gift, or like gift giving as a way of showing love, that you thought about me, you know, whatever, and brought me out a candy bar. Fourth one is quality time. Quality time is, I think, kind of self-explanatory, but giving undivided attention and time to your partner. Yes. Being fully present. For a lot of couples nowadays, this could also mean like putting the phones away, or just basically getting away from everybody else in the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like putting phones away, unplugging, thank you, that's the word. Putting laptops or computers away, or shutting them down so that you're not getting pings and stuff, and literally just unplugging from the world and really just spending actual time together. Yeah. Yes. And then our last one would be physical touch. So obviously expressing love through physical. I'm dying.
Oh, sorry.
So for those that are listening to the pod and not watching, this man, my husband, literally just turned around and started doing this weird back rubby thing, but it was actually hilarious. So if you're listening and not watching, maybe go watch this one.
You gotta love yourself before you love somebody else. I was just loving myself.
That's all. I will give you that.
That's all. We're gonna turn into a lesson. Oh, sorry, baby. You can keep going.
Oh, no, that's it. But I mean, just an example would be, you know, a comforting hug, cuddling on the couch, giving a kiss goodbye, or you know, just hey, I love you, and you know, or not even saying I love you, but that technically be a word of affirmation, but giving them a kiss or something afterwards, that kind of thing. Yes. So or even comforting touches, like, you know, that sometimes we obviously probably do in this episode many times, and any time, you know what I mean. But yeah, so those are the 5 different love languages, and everyone I think usually has a top 1 or even a top 1 or 2 that they could either kind of go in between or have tied. But usually everyone kind of has a top 1, and then they obviously can use the other ones as well, but it's kind of almost a ranking of like what just matters most to them, or what they kind of feel the most love with. That being said, of course, you guys know we had to do a quiz and find our love languages. We already kind of had our own preconceptions, obviously, going in. We kind of knew each other's love language. I mean, we've been together for a long time.
Yeah.
However, I'm not gonna lie, taking the quiz, I didn't realize that my like number 2 or 3 love language, it's either second or third. But it's like it's up there though. I surprised myself because taking the quiz, I realized it while I was taking the quiz. Like I'm very self-aware and I was like, oh wow, like I didn't realize, but I know that it actually matters to me more than I thought in my relationship.
And not to cut you off too, it's important because like in that love language, like she said, she's very self-aware. We evaluate ourselves in how we do our jobs, how we maybe take care of our house, how we take care of our kids. We are always critiquing ourselves on those things. But with love languages, until you sit down and actually search within and ask yourself those questions and think about your day to day, like those are things that you really you don't realize you don't know about yourself.
Right.
So it's important to sit down and kind of spend some time with yourself and ask yourself those important questions.
Yeah.
That was a good point.
Yeah, for sure. And so, and I think that's actually something, just going on a tangent, side quest, that I love about our relationship is that we are very self-aware people. And like, that's something that about us that brought us closer together. And one of the reasons we became a relationship is because I wanted someone, and I even told him this like while we were dating still. I was like, I need someone that's going to push me. I'm very much alpha female, alpha energy, independent, like, and I'm not saying that because I'm like, oh, I'm that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what I mean by it. I literally just mean I have a very strong energy, very strong presence, and I get opinionated very quickly, but I always have like thoughts to back it up. Like I'm still very logical, so I have a lot of reason to it. So what I'm trying to get at is I like to be self-aware and be very logical to myself because I know that I'm not always right about something. I can't be. Like, it's human to not always be right. So I needed a partner who not only did I respect their opinion, because if I didn't respect your opinion, I'm not going to listen to it. And I mean, that might sound terrible, but I needed to respect it because if I don't respect it, I'm just going to be like, whatever, and then brush it off, you know?
Yep.
But I needed someone who's going to challenge me and, hey, I don't think you went about that the right way, or hey, like, you know, maybe we could work on this, you know, like, but I needed that person that could do that for me and challenge me in a very healthy way. And so, yeah, that's all I was going to say about that. But I'm really glad I have my husband here for that. So, side quest ended. Yeah. Side quest ended. Let's go ahead and get into our poll results.
Let's go.
I would love to get into yours. And I already know your number 1, I think, but I'm gonna let you go over your own results.
Yes. So in my test, and a lot of how like each question is framed, I think it's about 30 of them. How they're framed is like that gives you 2.
Yes.
And it asks you which one is more meaningful to you. And it's important for me to express that and to let you guys know that so that you can understand kind of like my thought process through each one.
Yeah.
So how I kind of went about it was depending on what the 2 options were they were presenting me with. I thought about our day-to-day life. Yeah. What is our norm?
When you felt most loved.
Yes. Yeah. And it could be moments where you're not even thinking, because I mean, let's be honest, like sometimes you could be focused on one thing and you're turned off to maybe even paying attention to even receiving that. Right. But it's like when you sit down and you look back on the moment, it's like, oh yeah, you know, that really actually did kind of, I really do like that and I really do appreciate that. Mm-hmm. So I'm like the same thing that you said, like sitting down and actually thinking through some of those is like, I didn't realize that actually was very meaningful to me as it was, or as important to me as I thought it was.
And can I put in real quick, not to take away at all, of course. I think it's also very important, again, that we say it's always good to maybe reevaluate, because I think too, especially when you're with someone for such a long time, like we've literally been together, we're coming up on 7 years, you know what I'm saying? Married for almost 1, coming up, by the way. But, you know, we're coming up on 7 years though, being together and like in a relationship, and it's like, even maybe some of the love languages that I might have previously had might have switched a little bit, or like,
and that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah, I was gonna say they might have switched a little bit, or because even like I said, like there's one that, like I said, it's gonna be when my terms comes or whatever. I was very surprised with, because I don't need it on the outside world, obviously in my regular relationships with people, but when it comes to my romantic relationship, I didn't realize that I actually like it or need it more than I thought, you know what I mean? Right. So anyway, that's why I think it's it's actually really great that we decided to do this topic and do this episode. But PSA, like I said, I'll post a link. I would love to see any of the couples that have been together for a long time, whether you're dating, married, engaged, whatever.
Oh yes, please.
I would love for you guys to do this as well and share your results, because honestly, it was really kind of not eye-opening, but a little eye-opening. You know what I'm saying? It was really cool to see.
And any wisdom that you have that you think any younger listeners or viewers or even us could benefit from in our relationship journeys. I mean, I think in life, I mean, I've heard my whole life it takes a village to raise a child. But I honestly think it takes a village to raise humans and humanity.
Yeah.
Like we all have to, you can all pick up things from any aspect or any person's life or their daily walk. Even if you had a divorce that you learned something from after the fact. So please, like, send those in. Like, I would love to create just like our own mini segment of just like advice column from
that'd be cute,
you know what I'm saying, from beyond, and like I would love to give that to you guys. So please send those in. Let us know who you are. We want to shout you out on the page. But, all right, so let's get back on topic. So my first love language, and this is I knew this. My first one is definitely physical touch.
Did it. Called it. Just saying, I called it.
and that relates a lot to me too. Kati is very good about this and very big about this. Like, we could be sitting on the couch. The way our couch is kind of set up, it has like a little bit of an ottoman situation. And so when we first got the couch, she claimed that spot on the couch.
Yes, my feet are currently on it for anyone not watching.
She claimed that spot. And there's also a separate chair that's not a part of this, like love seat. That's technically my chair, and I use it here and there, but not super often. So like, I'm sitting on one end of the couch, she's on the opposite end of the couch, and I'm on my phone most of the time, scrolling or reading an article or researching something, or she could be watching TV, or we might be playing video games or whatever we're doing, and she'll reach over sometimes and just grab my hand. And in that moment, like, I'm holding her hand, I have my phone over here, and of course it's our normal day to day, and so I don't think much of it, but sitting and going through the test, and it would ask me some of those moments, like, I actually really do appreciate those moments, like the hugs, like the random hugs when we come home, or like we embrace each other. Like earlier today, like Katya has been feeling very, very, very well the last couple of days, and so I just kind of
couldn't hear it.
right, and so I just kind of came and I just like hugged her and I checked up on her and I just really enjoyed that embrace, you know what I'm saying, with her. So yeah, mine is definitely physical touch, which has changed for me. When I didn't know this then, but I think when I look back on my previous relationships, my love language was words of affirmation, which I didn't get a lot of. And I feel like that's reasons why I always questioned if my relationships were real or if they were as solid as I thought they were, because I just wasn't always receiving that love in that way. And I'm one of those, I love hard and I fall hard. So I was fighting for a love in a relationship that was there. I just wasn't feeling it because my love language wasn't being spoken
at the time. Which is now different.
Right, which it's changed a lot. And I think that's because, I mean, again, we've been together for so long. And in those other relationships, I was way younger. And so it takes a while to get comfortable with someone in a way to where those embraces become natural and they become comforting for you. So very much for me, physical touch makes sense. And then my number 2 definitely makes sense with that as well, which is quality time. Quality time, which again, me and Katya could be sitting here doing 2 separate things, but just being around her, being in her space, knowing that we're doing the same thing in the same kind of environment, that feels like home for me. That's a comfort for me, and that makes me feel good, especially from the stress of the day. Because in our particular job, overstimulation is very much a thing, and so by the time you're done with your day and you're home, you don't have really. Or me personally, like, it's hard to have certain conversations, or sometimes I don't want to talk to somebody for a long amount of time, or I don't want anybody to talk to me for a while.
You just need to almost unplug
serenity and space, you know, like, and so it's very big to just have someone who understands that and appreciates living in that moment with you. And I think that's what allowed me to open up and allowed me to feel the physical touch more in that way. And it's not even about like I mean, of course, relationships, intimacy can go to a certain level, but it doesn't have to go that far into me. Intimacy is just a gesture. Like when we're in the store sometimes and like we're just looking at something or trying to decide to get something, and Katya just comes over and like put your hand around me or on the side or rub the lower part of my back, whatever, just let me know that she's there with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really appreciate it. I feel love from that, and that is more meaningful to me than, say, acts of service. You know? Yeah. So what about yours?
So your top 3. Okay, so well, actually no, what's your third one?
My third one. Oh, we talked.
I know what your third one is. Well, for me,
so it'd be physical touch, quality time,
and then I think it was.
Oh, the third one was the gifts.
Yes,
and that
was particularly in our relationship, I think.
Yes,
right?
That one changed particularly in our relationship because good job.
Yeah,
but
I remember talking about this one.
She says this, like, she gives very meaningful gifts.
Thank you.
And they're very thought out. And so, of course, like now that I'm older, we work, we make our money. I feel like in my whole life, it hasn't been like that. I've just now gotten to this point within the last few years where I can just go get what I want. You know what I'm saying? And so, gifts for me aren't a huge deal. Like my parents asked what I want for Christmas. I'm like socks, tank tops, like
stuff I actually need.
yeah, stuff I need. Like I'm not huge on receiving gifts, but because I know Katya puts a lot of thought into it. And it could have been the whole year. She was keeping this secret and wanting to get this gift for you. I've learned to appreciate that because I know that's her telling me I love you and I appreciate you and I care about you and I've been thinking about you.
Yeah.
And so that became my number 3 because I love receiving love the way that she wants to give it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, again, like my point on love languages is very, very important, I think, to sit down as couples and have that conversation with each other. Because I think when you're first in a relationship and you're first with someone, you're giving them love the way that you like to receive love. And that makes sense. That's a comfort for you. So you want to give the person that you care about that same feeling that you get when they do it for you. But in all actuality, at that time, they may appreciate it.
Yeah.
But that may not be the exact way to tell them for sure
that's how they feel love. Yeah. And which is funny too, because receiving gifts, and just spoiler alert, as we're kind of transitioning to mine, receiving gifts is actually not on the top of my list. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, for me, receiving gifts was probably the last one, actually. Yeah, out of all of these. I mean, I love a nice gift, I'll put it like this. If it's very thoughtful, I will, of course, feel love and appreciate it. It's not that it's not on the list. Like, it's not like I don't like, receiving a gift as a form of, like, showing love, but it is my bottom one, which is funny because I love giving gifts. So It's weird because my love languages for me, like, to feel love are different than the ways I might even express it for others. But I don't know. I think for me too, when I give gifts, I'm actually giving more so, it's almost like for me, like an act of affirmation. Okay, I'm gonna say it like that. That sounds probably weird. But instead of telling you with my words that I appreciate you and that I love you or whatever, I'm showing you that I do and that I remembered something, or I made sure to write it down, or I made you something that took time, or, you said this in February, it's December for Christmas, and I got it for you. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I wrote it down, and I made sure to come back to this list and get it for you because I know you would appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing. Like, so for me, it's almost, like I said, might sound weird, but it's almost like an act of affirmation that I love doing for my loved ones. Because this goes for you, but it actually also goes for my family and friends. Like, I do the same thing for them. So
shout out my father-in-law real quick because I love when Katya and my father-in-law exchange gifts because it can be the most simple thing, like
socks,
but it's not what it's the kind of socks they are, what the socks represent. Because like there's memories and there's like experiences that are very meaningful for your dad, and I think like when you show him that you remember that and that that was also a pivotal moment for you, and that you're gonna carry that with you, he appreciates that. And so I just love watching that dynamic too between you, and even with your mom. Like I mean, your mom loves.
I made her cry on Christmas, just saying good cries, good tears.
Mother-in-law. Shout out to the in-laws, love you guys. But yeah, like even that, just showing. And your mom, like she loves, like she's an amazing person. Like she loves so hard. She'll do anything for you. Literally, like an angel. So she just likes to feel appreciated, I think. And I think you giving her that gift, letting her know that you appreciate how you raised her and all of the love and care that she put into you.
Yeah.
Like she really like thrives off that, and just to see her open up in that way. So yeah, that
I really try to give, and I think for me, like, and again, this goes for. I mean, we're talking about. On this podcast, we talk about real love, real life, real relationships. So yes, we focus a lot on the relationship, but I'm also talking about real life and relationships with everyone else too, like in terms of non-romantic relationships. Like I think I realized just growing up, and I was like, especially once I got older and I could really like have all the control, obviously with my own money, of like how I give, how much I buy or whatever, and how much time I put into giving a gift or something. I think I realized that I'm not really good at it. Like I don't mean to pat myself on the back, but it's one of those things that I've gotten a lot of almost, what's the word, approval almost, of that I could tell that they felt love in that moment when I've given really thoughtful gifts. And I think I've like delved into it even more because I'm like, okay, so I could tell that they really, really, really appreciated that. And like some of these gifts, like they'll have years and years, or they're displayed in the house or whatever, because depending on what it is, or they're being worn, or, you know what I'm saying? But like,
Mm-hmm.
I see that they appreciate it on a daily, you know what I'm saying?
And
So I've delved into it more.
And that's a big communication point, I think, for the love languages, because that's a communication that y'all are having without even really having to say it.
Yeah, basically nonverbal. I mean,
Like
it's the whole
by
physical.
them showing you how much they appreciate your thoughtful gift, that's them saying, I appreciate your way and your way of expressing love to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's big. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yep, that's my biggest thing. And then, like, so when I'm giving love to people or expressing my love for others, whether it be obviously my partner, my husband, or my best friends, or my family, I like gift giving is actually one of my biggest ways of expressing loves, if not my number one, and or probably my number two, because I don't give gifts all the time. They have to be good gifts. And then probably quality time. You know what I'm saying? I try to give people that time and we do stuff. But anyway, besides that, getting kind of back on topic,
Yes.
getting into my poll results. So my number one for me is actually acts of service. Pretty sure we all knew that. I've said it so many times, countless times. Don't just talk about it, be about it.
Yep, I was about to say the
actions speak louder than words.
There it is. That's the phrase.
I say it so much that people probably, that would be actually one of my one-liners. Like, if someone said, what's her one-liner? I would have actions speak louder than words. Don't just keep talking about it. Do something about
Real
it.
Quick,
Say, like,
pause. Y'all keep running this podcast up, so that gives me means to create our own Let Me Holler at You soundboard. And that way, when we get to moments in the podcast and it's like actions speak louder than words. That's one of those moments. Please, y'all keep running this thing up. We gotta level up to the iCarly level. Like we need the buttons.
But yeah, so that is literally one of my one-liners. You know what I'm saying? So like it makes so much sense that mine is acts of service. And like for me, it's not like I want my husband to do my chores. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not what it is.
And we share that.
But we share it. But like it's, even like I guess the candy bar was kind of like a way of a gift giving, but for me it was also kind of an act of service because again I haven't been feeling that well, and that was kind of he knew that was probably a nice little way to one, cheer me up, and two, help give me energy because I was very tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's almost an act of service to me that you're thought about me enough to do this because you knew it would also help me in the long run. Or like I have been very tired, and I know like especially like you said, we get home, we get overstimulated. Not only are we doing this, but, specifically for me, like, I coach a whole university line and individual students. Mm-hmm. And then we also have the podcast. Like, I like to keep myself very busy, but sometimes, yeah, it does get overwhelming. Yes. And so you'll pick up kind of for me sometimes. And, like, even the dishes will pile up or something, and you don't even say, hey, do you want me to do these? You'll just go over and do them, even when I'm not looking. Like, I love side quest again, when I don't even know that you're doing it. Like if I'm like going to take a shower or I'm going to take a nap or I don't know, I'm doing something, but I'm not in where you are in the space and you get it done.
Pause.
I know that you do that on purpose, I think, and I love it.
This is another important point about the love languages because I know this is the first time I actually heard her say that acts of service was her number one, but I knew that already. Yeah. I get to have fun speaking that language with her because I make it a game for myself. So like if she's gone doing something,
that makes sense.
What can I do for her real quick that she might come back and not even realize that I did it? And then when she realizes, it's like, oh, yeah, like you heard me, you listen. Like the quickest example of that is like even with this quiz. Like I think for a couple of days she's reminding me, hey, don't forget to take the quiz. Hey, don't forget to take the quiz. And earlier, she was like, I'm gonna take a quick nap real quick before we do the podcast. And she was like, if you don't mind, can you do the quiz for me? If not, then we'll just do it right before or whatever. And then, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take my time and do it. And I didn't say anything until we started the podcast. She's like, oh wait, go ahead and take your quiz real quick. And I was like, I already did it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's moments like that. And thinking back on our past, we've lived together for like
a while. I don't know, a long time.
Some of our older places where we live, we traveled a lot more, and we were doing a lot more. Like I was doing a lot more teaching and coaching separate. Yeah. So I would have to go out of town and be away for a few weeks. Or, yeah. She would have to go out of town coaching and be away for a few weeks. Or judging, yeah. When she was gone and I was home alone, of course, men that live with your lady, you know that you get used to having them around. It's always a dynamic, but when they're gone, it's like,
what do I do?
What do I do with myself? You know. Yeah. So when she's gone, I will make it a habit of when she's here that week, I know she's leaving, I'll let the house get as dirty as it's going to get. We'll let it pile up. whatever laundry, so that when she's gone, I spend that whole time while she's gone cleaning up. Like I'll clean the entire house, kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom, everything, so that when she comes home from coaching and being tired, she comes home to a clean. Because guys, quick game, don't ladies love nothing more than a clean home, a clean place, especially when your man doing it for you and you taking care of her.
Yeah. Amen.
So I wanted her to come home to a clean home, everything done, no tasks to worry about, no chores, just come home, shower, relax, be home. And I love doing that. Like, I mean, of course we're together a lot more, and I love having her here. So
yes,
but I love having those moments that I get to have that conversation with her without even talking about it.
Yeah, so that's my number one. And then my number two, so, well, 2 and 3 I'll kind of do together, I guess. Well, not in this particular order, but I'm pretty sure my number 2 was words of affirmation. So and this is the one that surprised me. So the one I said I was actually surprised with, and I had to like almost reevaluate, or like I figured it out while I was taking the quiz. It was words of affirmation, because I am not someone, and I think it goes specifically words of affirmation for my romantic relationship with my husband, because I am not someone who needs words of affirmation or validation from outside people.
Yeah.
Yeah, respectfully. So, I mean, honestly, like, I might respect your opinion, but I don't need the affirmation of what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like,
opinions are things to be considered. They aren't things to take into full account. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Especially when it's coming from an outside perspective.
Exactly. And so that's why I think it surprised me, because I'm just not someone that needs that from like the outside kind of world and whatnot. But that's why it surprised me, is that like, okay, I do actually really appreciate it from my partner, from my spouse. Like, so that was actually really cool for me. And thinking back, I was like, yeah, actually there's lots of moments where I've really, like, he said something and it really, really made me feel loved in that moment just because you said something. And again, I didn't realize it. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then besides that, it would be like physical touch and quality time. But for me, quality time actually kind of goes into acts of service a little bit too. Because
you're going out of your way to make that time.
Exactly, yeah. So I feel like, and so maybe that's kind of me also blending them. But quality time for me is also like, again, you just said it, like going out of your way to make time for us to do whatever and that kind of thing. It's an act of service that you're doing the planning. Because again, I'm the type A planner and organizer. So when he goes out of his way to plan and organize something or whatever, and like even if it's a quality date, like quality time or something, that to me is almost an act of service, because if I'm the one that's usually in that role, you're not taking over that role for this time being, for whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, quality time is definitely up there, but I think it just kind of gets looped in with acts of service a lot. But then obviously like physical touch is like my top 3. So overall for me, it was words of affirmation, or I'm sorry. It was acts of service, then words of affirmation, then like physical touch, and then quality time. You can just kind of stick it in there, like a little, little carrot, like you forget a word, you do a carrot. Yeah. That's like where quality time is for me. It's somewhere in there, one of those, because I kind of looped it in with acts of service. But
and with it, and again, if you pay attention and you listen to your partner, and in those moments, those small moments, you really take heed to them, your partner tells you in so many ways how they like to receive love. Like, the words of affirmation didn't surprise me. Of course, maybe not your top ones are going to show through, but one or two of them will. Like the one.
Yeah.
Katya actually gives me words of affirmation a lot, all the time. Like, she's always speaking life into me, and I kind of need that sometimes, because I'm naturally very self-driven. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what it is and what I'm focused on. But a lot of times I question, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing?
And I have a question too.
Or like she'll take random moments, and like compliment me completely out of the blue, like, you look very handsome today. And I could be wearing like sweatpants and a sweatshirt and not even feeling. Hey,
women, we know the sweatpants, okay? He has those sweatpants. Just saying. Anyway.
Next. So we know that, and again, like, I know in that moment, like, she really just took time out of her day to really just make sure that I felt good. Because, we don't always feel our best. We don't always feel 100%. And so on some days where I'm questioning myself, and I'm a self-evaluator, so if I remember having a conversation with you and I'm staring off into space, or I randomly jump conversations, it's because my brain is having other conversations about other things. So I really need those words of affirmation sometimes, just kind of help keep me going, especially from her, like my partner, and being someone that I love and I care about. I want to look good for her. I want to impress her. So her giving me those words of affirmation lets me know that I'm doing just that, and that helps give me the confidence boost that I need to just carry on.
You
so
look great, by the way.
Thank you so much. I love
I was gonna
how
say,
the redness of your nose from blowing it so much matches the red on your sweater. It's gorgeous.
Thanks so much for that backhanded, not even compliment. Anyway,
it was cute.
It was all right. It was all right.
All right.
You know what? It's all right. I'm wearing my Polish sweatshirt today. I'll rep. It's cool. Anyway, I was gonna say too. Just a word of thought. We don't have to go into it, but do you think too that sometimes your love languages, depending on your relationship, can move up or down on the scale? Because, for example, words of affirmation for you used to be a high one, but maybe because I personally, like in our relationship, do give you words of affirmation, hopefully kind of often or whatever, that it's not as high a priority on your list just because you don't think about it because you don't need it necessarily because I give it to you already. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
it's like one of those things where it's like you feel more love now when I do one of these things because like it's not that you don't always hear words of affirmation enough. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like sometimes like things might move up and down on your list depending on like how much you get of something. So if it's almost normal, like you still feel love, obviously getting something, you know what I'm saying? Like the words of affirmation or even receiving a gift, whatever. But it's like if you get it very often, maybe you just don't even think maybe twice about it. It's like you feel love from it, but it's not higher on your list because you're not thinking as much about it.
I 100% get that because I don't know if you remember, but when we were talking about this episode idea, it was very hard for me to sit there and think about what my love language is because I feel like I just feel love and I know that I'm loving this relationship so much. And I know that, we love each other and we go out of our way to show each other, you know what I'm saying, that we are thinking about each other and that we do love each other. That it's not something that I put my mind on all the time to think of how do I prefer to receive love in my relationship. I'm receiving it in so many different ways right. that I just feel complete in that love. So it's not something I have to think about, but 100%, I mean, at a point where I needed to feel affirmed because of my past relationship, I thought it was very solid, but it wasn't what it was. What it so starting out, especially after I took that year, starting out and us talking, I needed those words of affirmation that you were into this. You know what I'm saying? That you were here, that you were into it. Right. And once after, the year, first 2 years or however long, and then of course I'm very candid about the man that I am now, who's not perfect, who's still learning and still growing. Yeah. I was way further down on that ladder when I met her. You know what I'm saying? And she was way higher. She was where I was trying to get at that time. So I would have understood completely if she was like, where you are and where I am and where I'm about to go, it doesn't work. And it would have made total sense. I was waiting on that, to be honest with you. Yeah. So at first, I needed those words of affirmation. My
standards came from morals.
That this relationship was actually going to go somewhere and that you love me as much as I love you. Because that's what I don't think I received in the previous.
Well, and I was about to say.
And so once that was solid for me, I got to have fun and experiment with the ways of receiving love from you and giving you love. Because now I get to learn about myself in this new chapter, this new and improved person who's grown. Like, now I get to answer those questions for myself. Right. So, yeah, 100%. I think when you meet the right person or you meet someone and they change things and you learn more about yourself, things can change. Things can fluctuate. I think all 5 love languages make an appearance in everybody's relationship and everybody's day-to-day.
And I think that they should.
Because and the percentages vary.
Yeah, I think they just vary. And it's just like people obviously have like their number 1 or 2 or even top 3. And I was about to say too, just real quick, physical touch, I think actually used to be higher on my list, but I think it's at number 3 right now and could even drop to number 4 depending on the quality time for me because like I really appreciate physical touch, but because you are so good at giving me those comforting hands and the hugs and the little, like and the kisses or whatever, like the little things that you do here and there, like I don't think I realize how much I do get, so it's not like it's a priority for me, but it's not as high of a priority as maybe it used to be in previous relationships or something because I get it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, the ones that really stick out now and my specific one that I really feel the love in are obviously like acts of service and whatever, but I think physical touch used to be, I know it used to be higher for me, but I think it dropped even down to like 3 or 4 because for the same reason I just told you, I think it's just because I get it so much that it's like, it's not a...
Two, I think in us talking about it, instead of thinking about them as like different categories, think about it like a ladder.
Oh yeah,
so,
100%.
For instance, like, there's a page that we still watch and that we follow on Instagram and TikTok, and it's a holistic doctor. And one thing that he said is sometimes your body may need a certain chemical, but there's another chemical that tells your body to receive this chemical in excess. So sometimes you start taking this chemical because it says your body needs it, but then you start to realize that you're not getting what you need because you're still missing this other chemical. So I feel
You're
like
still missing the source.
sometimes to appreciate physical touch for what it really means, you need quality time. Spending that time together, spending that time together leads to, of course, holding hands, cuddling, the soft kisses, the rubbing of the head. Like, it leads to more physical touch, and you appreciate that because
physical touch can also lead to the quality time or the act of service, because coming home and just, hey, we haven't talked today. Like, because, for example, we work very close to each other, so we can actually carpool to work. Lucky us. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, we come home, and I know I will be like, hold on, come here. And I, like, make sure to give you a hug and give you a kiss. I'm like, hey. Like, you know what I'm saying? I literally just, like, I'm just out. I'm like, hey. Like, because we've been talking about our days the whole way home, and, like, we're so caught up with, like, doing life and everything we might have to do when we get home. It's like, I just want to take a moment and say hi, and I love you. And you know what I mean? But, like, I always give you a hug, or I give you a kiss or something. And that can lead to us being like, you know what? We should do something tonight. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what I was just about to say. Like,
it leads to something else.
Hey, how are you doing today, babe? I love you. That's affirming.
Yeah, words of affirmation.
Affirming our love. Hey, you want to go do something?
Hold on. The hug, physical touch, or the kiss.
Wait, no, I want to get to another point on that one.
Okay.
So it goes to I love you. You know what I'm saying? That's affirming our love for each other. Then it's like, hey, let's go do something. Hey, let's go watch a movie. Now you're spending quality time together, right? In that quality time together, you're enjoying the intimacy, so that you hold hands, you share a kiss, which leads to more physical touch.
Yep,
right?
Physical touches here and there.
Right? And of course, that becomes a date, and I just asked you on a date. So that also turned into acts of service because I'm planning this for us. Hey, we're going to go do this, and then we're going to go do that, and then we're going to do this together, right?
And if you buy me popcorn or something, or I love ices, like the slushies, the Coke ices, okay? Like the ones you get from the gas stations or the big ones at the movie theater. Love them, okay?
Yes.
I literally used to have what my mom called the emergency slushy fund in the car. The little coin change boxes things in the cars. That was for me to get slushies, okay? Yes. Like, that's how much I love these things. When you buy me slushies at movies, receiving gifts, thoughtful. I want it. I'll drink it all.
Just, hey, like, just caught up. I got it. Hey, don't worry about it. I got it. You know what I'm saying?
They're all
that is another way of doing that. And then again, you close it off with words of affirmation again. Hey, I noticed this week that, I've been so busy, I haven't been able to say anything. I noticed this week, it was my turn to wash the dishes. You've washed the dishes every day this week. I just want to tell you, like, I just did all this to show you that I appreciate you.
It's just noticing it.
And then again, that goes, and to put all this together, even when you meet somebody and you're starting out in the dating stages, fellas, if you take the 5 love languages and you plan your date or plan it out through that, I can guarantee you can have a meaningful, fulfilling relationship, and you're going to learn so much more about the person that you're with through that. If you're in a relationship and one person speaking Japanese and only reads Japanese and only understands Japanese, and you only speak, read, and understand English, you can't communicate. Yeah. So, and then you really got to pay attention because it becomes body language, and then you really got to, I got to pick up on this. So
you have to pay attention.
You got to speak the same language and have the same type of conversation, and that takes time and building and development.
Now, I will say, to go ahead and hop off our horses and go ahead and wrap up this episode.
Yes.
I did want to share, we did ask you guys, or the people on our social media pages, thank you for following or looking at our stories. We asked you a poll, and we asked you what your love languages were. And honestly, I was very curious. So, of course, I mathed it out. Oh, tagline! I mathed it out. Anyway, and the poll results came out to this. So, the highest ranking love language, words are hard, was physical touch.
Yes.
With 50%. So of our people who tuned in and voted on the story and told us what it was, 50% of them were physical touch. Then after that, tying for second place was quality time and words of affirmation. And then in third place was acts of service. Quality time and words of affirmation were both 20%. Where acts of service is 10%, and receiving gifts got no votes. No one cares about the gifts. They said, nope, don't care at all.
I think too.
I think it matters.
Might be
But
the
it's just not as
connotation.
important. Yeah.
I think of receiving gifts. I think some people might be thinking of it as like I like my man to buy me expensive things.
Yeah.
I like my lady to buy me expensive. And that's not necessarily like a materialistic view on that.
Or they could also be kind of looping it in with me, like the ones that they appreciate, the thoughtful ones, are more for them, like done in an active service or in quality time or in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kind of gets looped in, I think. But yeah, so those were our poll results.
Yes.
And thank you guys so much for doing those. I don't think you guys understand. Like, we actually really do love getting your feedback, and we love seeing what you guys are like, interacting with you guys in a way of knowing what your love languages are. Because obviously, like, even my top one was down at the bottom. Okay, hey. My acts of service was 10%.
And it's two parts to a conversation, right? Like we're talking to each other about our experiences through these topics,
right?
But there's another part to that conversation. That's you guys, right?
Yeah.
So how do we know if we're doing the right episodes and we're talking about the right things that you're interested in if we don't get the feedback? So
yeah, so we really appreciate it.
Feel free to reach out. We're not being fake. I mean, we honestly want to hear from you, big, small, whatever it is. Like, send us a message through the podcast, or if you know us personally and you're friends with us, like, send us in our regular DMs, text us, whatever.
Yep.
We'd love to hear from you because, again, it makes this podcast more special. And again, like I tell you guys every day in the intro, y'all are family. We already look at you guys as family. So let's
so we really appreciate that interaction. Like, that's obviously one of the reasons we started this whole podcast in the first place, was not only to kind of share our, opinions and stories and love with each other, but it's really to share it with the world, share it with you guys, share it with our friends, and share it with people that we don't know, and hoping that maybe our experiences, our stories, or what things that we have learned along the way can help somebody else, or just provide entertainment, whatever it is may be. But thank you guys so much for interacting with those. And like I said, like, obviously we love having deep conversations. We've been talking your ear off now for our entire episode, right? So thank you for tuning in and letting us talk your ear off, but we can't do that and get into these deep conversations without any sort of topic or conversation to talk about, what I'm saying? So thank you guys so much for voting. Like I said, I was actually very intrigued by these results. And I was very happy to see them. So thank you. If you guys have any stories that you would love to share, by the way, with us regarding your love languages, I would love to hear them. Is there a time that they've clashed or that they have gone really well? Have you noticed any of your love languages changing? Please send them in. We would love to discuss it on our next episodes.
And for our intro for next week, I would like to pose a challenge to maybe some couples that are listening out there.
Yeah.
This week, I want you guys, and again, please let us know. We'll post the link up so that you can actually have the love language
official quiz. Yeah.
But I want you guys to sit down, just for fun, just 10 minutes. Doesn't need to be long. And I want you guys to take the quiz together, and I want you guys to show those to each other, and then for an entire week, or up until next week's podcast, or just do it a few days, actually. That way you can actually write into us before next week. So just take like 2 or 3 days. And I want you to actively pursue communicating with your partner through that love language.
Yes, I love
purposefully. That. Like, and I'm talking about their top one. Yes, like we said, there's stages to it. And of course, hopefully this goes well for you as an experiment, and you guys can start staging that out and doing that more and experiment with all of them. But take the top one and just find some time throughout the week, those few days, where you can really communicate with your partner through that love language. See if they, first of all, if you can do it in a way where they have to really pay attention to notice it. Yeah. See if they notice it or pay attention to it, and see how you respond to them actually paying attention to it and catching on to it. See how your harmony
is after those few days.
Yes.
See how that harmony is. Like, is there a little bit more love for each other there? Not that it wasn't ever there, but like, are you guys just a little more lovey-dovey, like, after those few days or whatever, just because obviously you've been speaking well to each other's love languages, or have you guys had some really, really good moments together, or, you know what I'm saying? I'm really glad you said that. So please, somebody do this little experiment. I love that experiment idea. And please write into us. We would love to hear it. And if you would like us to, or whatever, if you're okay with it, share it on our next episode.
Or one couple. Like, if you just get one,
that'd be really cool.
We can use that as the intro. We will keep you 100% anonymous. You can give us whatever
that'd be really,
names
really cool.
You want to give us, whatever. Of course, please let us know what your ages are. So that kind of gives us a range as to, maybe a little bit of history about your relationship, how long you've been together, so we can really see how that played on. Because I'm very intrigued to see couples who've been together for maybe 10, 20 years, if, some of you are listening out there.
Or even if you've been together for a couple,
how that changed. Because
3 years,
sometimes you can get caught up in a routine. and be comfortable in that. But it's very good to just take that moment and like reevaluate that and get back together on those things. So
I agree.
Again, that's the challenge I want to pose for this week.
I love that.
Please, just one couple, just do it.
Yeah, someone
see
do it
if
for
it changes
us.
something.
We would
Give
love
us
it,
something.
please. That would be awesome. Thank you for posing that experiment. I really, really, really like that idea. So please, someone do it. Thank you again. For everyone else, also, thank you just for tuning in to this week's episode. If, again, you liked this episode or would like to keep up with us,
don't forget to like, comment, subscribe,
everything.
all that good stuff on whatever page reaches out to you most. If you want to see some of the hilarity, the comedy, and the video aspect of it, if you just listen to the podcast, please check us out on YouTube. If you need the link for that, you can always go to our Instagram and hit our little, what they call the thing?
It's our link.
The link tree.
Yeah.
Hit the link tree. It'll take you right to the YouTube page.
Yeah.
And you can see our beautiful faces or not, depending on who you are. I don't matter. I'm content. My girl love me. We good. We locked in. Holloway fam. All day, every day. Oh.
Keep going. That's okay. You did great. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's all we have for today. And we'll catch you next time on
Let me holler at you.